Well, do you remember this piece? I think you played it enough times to still be able to play it from memory. It's on? Oh.
Has quite a unique history. After Bach wrote it and performed it, it got lost. And Mendelssohn found it 150 years later, and he recognized the genius in this piece and was determined it wouldn't get lost again. And our maestro agreed with him. He studied this piece with Helmuth Rilling for 10 years at the Oregon Bach Festival, who is one of the preeminent Bach scholars in the world. And James also was determined this piece would not die. So we have performed this every year since 1985, except for last year. COVID was all that could bring the tradition down. So it means so much to us, not just to perform it, but to have an audience. Because we can sing for ourselves, but it's really lacking something. So thank you so much for joining us and for being part of this continuing tradition. We are offering our concert today donations only because we know that this has been a very difficult time for some people. And we didn't want anyone to miss the concert because they couldn't afford the price of a ticket. So if you are able to be generous today, we greatly appreciate it. This is a professional orchestra and they are paid. So we appreciate your help, and any of you that are listening on Zoom today, you can make your donations on our website, toccatatahoe.org, and you too will receive a letter for your CPA for making a donation to a 501c3. Thank you.
Thank you all again for being with us today. This marks the first time that we've been able to perform with chorus and orchestra since last February, when we finished Bach's B minor Mass, and then suddenly COVID changed everything. We did try to continue one small concert with Messiah, which just didn't work. And so, fortunately for us, last month, this wonderful church opened up its doors to us so that we could do Baroque Masters. No chorus in that, but and then they said, why don't you come and bring this Passion here also? We didn't think we could fit it, but the numbers, our numbers are down, and it's not because we don't have people that want to do it. It's just that these are the performers that managed to get vaccinated, and so we've got a safe performing force for you up here, and we do not want to. We're not taking COVID for granted. And we want to follow the guidance of our president and Fauci, and because COVID isn't licked yet. But because of the nature of performing, we've let the performers choose, as long as they're vaccinated and they've been very careful. We're letting them wear masks today in concert if they feel comfortable or not. And the same for you. I have a good feeling that most of you have had at least your first shot. And so you're feeling a little less risky, and that is good. We're getting ahead of the curve here because many people think this might not be the example to set, but we want to set the example of hope. We are trying to get live music back into the public awareness, and this is a wonderful concert to start that with again. So as Nancy said, in 1985, celebrating Bach's 300th birthday, in Puerto Rico at the time, we assembled 300 singers to be in the same stage. This was not Zoom music and anything like that. This was actual people on stage, and we celebrated Bach's 300th birthday with the full St. Matthew Passion. And ever since then, we have done it every year. Sometimes 4 times, usually 4 times, in 4 different locations. To get to know Bach's Passion, we need to have a little bit of history lesson. Bach and Handel are contemporaries, but Handel, as you know, wrote Messiah and an oratorio, but Handel was mostly an opera composer. But during Lent, you couldn't write opera and you couldn't make any money. And he lived by producing his operas, so he wrote operas without scenes and costumes, and we call them oratorio. Messiah is one of your favorite oratorios. Bach, the consummate church musician, doesn't write any operas ever. He is employed by the church for his entire life. He writes beautiful cantatas, but all of his works, almost all of his works, are sacred if there is text. But the St. Matthew Passion text comes as close to opera as Bach ever got, and also the St. John Passion. So in this, which is like an oratorio, no costumes, no scenes, no setting, but there are characters. And so you're going to hear the voices of Pontius Pilate is over here. You're going to hear Jesus. We wouldn't do the Passion without Jesus. And a high priest is over here. Judas is sitting right next to him. So this is as close to opera as Bach gets. And we have the figure of Mother Mary here on this side. And we would have Magdalene, but she was too young to get her shots. And so I'm sorry we can't have a Mary Magdalene for you today, but Joy, Mother Mary, is going to do Magdalene's parts, so we don't miss that part of the music. All right, so a little bit of how Bach constructed this. This piece is in antiphonal orchestras. So on this side, there's a small group of musicians. On this side, there's a different small group of musicians, and they each have their own small chorus. And sometimes they play in alternation, and sometimes they play together. And what you're going to hear are basically where we pick up the story. If we do the whole Passion, you're going to be here for 3.5 hours. And most people aren't emotionally prepared for a 3.5-hour Bach experience. So we take up the action in Gethsemane, where he has been given away by Judas, and he is taken away by the guards. And then we finish most of what is called part 2 of Bach's Passion There is so much text in this that the text is all in your programs. So what Bach does is he has an evangelist, a narrator, and the narrator is here. Michael is going to sing all of this text to you, and it's a lot of information. And then the chorus and the orchestra will sometimes be a part of the mob. Sometimes they will be the parts of the disciples, but always they will come together in 7 scenes. So what we have for you today is 7 different set scenes that all resolve in a Bach chorale. And this Bach chorale is like what we call a leitmotif that Wagner made very famous. And this leitmotif you will hear many times. Bach plays this chorale 7 times during the whole Passion. You'll hear it today 5 times, but you will hear it in different harmonies. But it is a leitmotif, and it is something usually very comforting, a melody that you will know. And in these chorales, these 7 scenes that culminate in a chorale, we have to go back to 1737, and you would all be good Lutherans. And you would know these chorales, and you would come charging in with them at the appropriate time, because that was your music. And you knew that music. You didn't have hymnals, and you didn't have necessarily, but you knew this music because it was very important. Now we've kind of lost that tradition, and we don't. We spend a lot more time now with our iPhones than we do with our hymnals. But nevertheless, think about this. You, as the congregation, would be a part of the St. Matthew Passion. And Robert Shaw has even presented this, where he invites singers from whatever city he's working with. They come an hour before the show, and they sit right over here, and they get to sing along as the congregation. So that's a bit of that history. And one other leitmotif that you will notice is that the string section is portrayed as Jesus' halo. And every time Jesus sings, the halo is present, and you'll hear it, and it is a very comforting feeling. But at Jesus' final entry, they too have abandoned him, and you will notice that. And the evangelist is giving us the text that you see in your program. It's a lot of text, and you'll take it home and enjoy it if this is something that gives you pleasure. You can follow along reading because it's a wonderful experience. But the one thing that is not a part of the Passion text are the arias. The arias are some of Bach's most beautiful music, and he writes this completely outside, just as a meditation on the scene or the feeling or the artist's reaction to that particular part of the Passion. Enjoy Bach's St. Matthew Passion, mostly part 2 today. Please tell your friends about it, that this live stream that this wonderful church, Shepherd of the Mountains, is going to put on their permanent site, YouTube channel, so that you could see our St. Matthew Passion tomorrow again if you wanted to. I didn't know that. So we thank Shepherd of the Mountains for opening your doors up to us, and for being a host for us getting back together with you again.
And Jesus came to his disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, "What? Could you not even watch with me 1 hour? Watch ye and pray, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again he went away, prayed, and said, "Father, if it must be that this cup may not pass from me except that I drink it, then let thy will be done." And again he came and found them sleeping, and he left them and went away and prayed the third time, saying again the same words. Then came he to his disciples and said unto them, are you still resting and sleeping? Lo, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man to the hands of sinners now shall be betrayed. Arise, let us be going. Look ye, he is come who doth betray me. And as he yet spake, came Judas, and with him a great array with swords and with staves. Now this same Judas who betrayed him had given them a sign, and said, Whomsoever I kiss is he. Him take ye. And straightway came he to Jesus and said, All hail to thee, O Master, and kissed him. Jesus said, My friend, wherefore art thou come? And thereupon they came and laid hands on Jesus, and they took him.
Behold then, one of the disciples, which were there with Jesus, drawing his sword forth, he struck the high priest's servant, and smote off his ear. Then said Jesus to him, Put up thy sword into its place. For all who take the sword shall perish by the sword. For what thinkest thou, that I cannot now beseech my Father, and he will straightway give me more than 12 legions of angels? But thereby how is the word fulfilled, that thus it must be? In that same hour Jesus said to the people, Are ye come out here as though against a robber, with swords and with staves, that ye may take me? Day after day I have sat beside you, and daily have I taught in the temple, and ye lay no hand upon me. But I tell you, this has been done, that there be fulfilled the scriptures of the prophets. And then all the disciples forsook him and fled. so laid hold on Jesus, led him away unto the high priest Caiaphas, and with him were the scribes and the elders all assembled all together. Peter also followed after him afar unto the court of the high priest's palace, and went therein, and sat with the guards and servants, that he might see how all would be ended. Then did the priests conspire with the elders and all the council, how that they might false witness bring on Jesus, that he might be put to death. But found they none. Many a false and lying witness came, they could find them none. At last to the king who falsely witnessed in this wise, his fellows said, how is given, how is given, to destroy God's temple, and his mandate can again be stand at our eyes and say to him, dost answer the lot to that which these have witnessed against thee? Yet was Jesus still silent.
He answers not to false God their evil turn, my heart's honored pride avenging. Shall sting me. Be still, be still, be still.
And then the high priest gave him an answer thus, and said, I adjure thee here before the living God, that thou do tell us if thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, Thou sayest, yet I say to you, hereafter when ye see him, ye shall see in that time the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Thereupon the high priest tore his robes asunder and said, He has spoken blasphemy. What need we further witness? Truly, ye all have heard the blasphemy that he has spoken. What think ye now? They answered to him and said, and they spat on him and struck him with their fists. Others around him smote and slapped him in his face and shouted, No, 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 no. came unto him and said,
Thou also hast been with Jesus of Galilee.
But Peter denied it before them all, and said,
I know not what thou sayest.
And again at the palace doorway he was seen by another maid, who said to him that stood there with him,
This man also was with Jesus of Nazareth.
He denied it a second time, and swore an oath.
I do not know this man.
And in a little while came others, who had been standing beside him, and said to Peter, But still did he deny with cursing and with swearing,
I know not the man.
Immediate crew the cock. Then Peter brought to mind the words of Jesus, which saith unto him, Ere yet the cock croweth, wilt thou have thrice denied me? And he went out and wept bitterly. priests gathered with the elders of the people to plot against Jesus, that they might kill him. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to the court of the governor Pontius Pilate. When therefore Judas, the same who had betrayed him, saw Jesus condemned to death, he repented of himself, and brought once again the 30 silver pieces to the high priest and the elders, and said,
I have great evil done, for I have righteous purpose day betrayed.
They said,
And what is that to us? And what is that to us? Closing our
and he cast the silver pieces in the temple, and turned away, and went out, and he hanged himself. And when the priest had gathered all of the silver pieces, they said,
We may by the law he presented for riches, blood, money, and the price of blood.
Give me back my Jesus, pray thee. Give me back my Jesus, pray thee. See the price of murder done, cast by the tormented Son at the feet who paid it. See the price of murder done. See the price of murder done, cast by the tormented Son at the feet who paid it. See the price of murder done, cast by the tormented Son at the feet who paid it. See the price of murder done, cast by the tormented Son at the feet who paid it. Give me back my Jesus, I pray thee. Give me back my Jesus, pray thee. Ah, my Jesus, give me, pray thee. Give me back my Jesus, pray thee. Give me back my Jesus, pray thee. Give my Jesus, pray thee.
And they took counsel among themselves, and bought therewith a potter's field, wherewithin they might bury a stranger. Wherefore this field has been called by the name of Blood's field, yea, to this very day. Then was fulfilled what had been foretold by the prophet Jeremiah when he said, They took thereupon the 30 silver pieces, which were a price on him that was valued, set by certain of the sons of Israel, and taking them, they gave them for a potter's field, as did the Lord my God appoint me.
Jesus therefore stood before the governor, and the governor asked him and said, Art thou the King of the Jews? Jesus answered unto him,
Thou sayest.
But when he was accused, when the priest and the elders accused him, he answered nothing. Then Pilate said unto him, Hearest thou not what things they charge against thee? And he answered to him, Never a word, not one, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. returned to the people and asked them, "Now which of the two will ye that I release to you?" They shouted, Then Pilate said unto them, "And what shall I do then with Jesus, of whom one saith he is Christ?" Again they shouted, "Let him be they shouted,
Let him be
When Pilate therefore had seen he prevailed in nothing, but that rather arose a tumult, he took water and washed his hands before them all, and said,
I am innocent of the blood of this just man. See ye to it.
Then together all the people answered and said, Jesus to the common hall, and gathered around him all the soldier band. And then they did strip him, and brought a scarlet robe, and put it on him, and plaited him a crown of thorns, and put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand, and bowed the knee before him low, and mocked at him, and said, We hail, we hail. Took a reed and smote him upon his head. him thus, they took off from him the scarlet robe, and clothed him again in his own raiment, and led him away, that he be crucified.
As they were going out, they came upon a man of Cyrene whose name was Simon, and compelled him to carry the cross of Jesus. And when in this wise they were come to a place called Golgotha, that is to say, the place of skulls, then they gave him vinegar to drink that was mingled with gall. But when he tasted it, yet he would not drink. And when therefore they had crucified Jesus, they divided his garments by casting lots for them, that it might be fulfilled what had been foretold by the prophet. They parted all my garments equally among them, and for my vesture, yea, for my vesture they cast lots. Then they sat them around and watched him there. And over above his head, they set thereto the inscription of his death accusation, namely, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." There were also two thieves who with him were crucified, one on the right hand and one on the left. And all they who passed that way reviled at him, deriding. They wagged their heads and said, "Thou who destroyest the temple of God and buildest it again in 3 days, save thyself. Be thou the Son of God? Come down to us. Come down from off the cross." And likewise also did the chief priests mock at him with the scribes and with the elders, and said, "Savior was he of others, but for himself not a savior. If he be King of Israel, then let him now come down from off the cross, and we will then believe him. He in God has trusted. Let his God deliver him now, if he will. For he hath said, I am God's own son," and also scoffed at him the two thieves with which him were crucified.
said,
"Keep going, hurry, young Joe."
and straightway one of them did run, and took a sponge, and filling the sponge with vinegar, he put it upon a reed, and gave him to drink. The others spoke among them,
Wait, and say now, give me light to come and then we'll send him.
and again did Jesus cry aloud, and was gone. Then behold, the veil of the temple was rendered in twain, all from the top unto the ground. And there came a great earthquake, and the rocks burst asunder, and the graves were opened again, and there rose many saints and the holy ones that were sleeping. And came from out the graves after Jesus' resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared to many. Now when the captain and the others with him who were watching Jesus, when they saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they trembled greatly and said, a wealthy man from Arimathea, by name Joseph, who was also one of Jesus' disciples. He went unto Pilate and begged of him the body of Jesus. Wherefore Pilate commanded that it be given to him.
sweetest rest to tarry. Enter thou whom I adore evermore. Here in sweetest rest to tarry. Here in sweetest rest to tarry. World away, world away, let Jesus in. World away, let Jesus in. Come, my heart, and make me clean. Come, my heart, and make me clean, that my Jesus I may marry, that my Jesus I may marry. Come, my heart, and make me clean. Come, my heart, and make me clean, that my Jesus I may marry, that my Jesus I may marry. Come, my heart, and make me clean, that my Jesus I may marry. Come, my heart, and make me clean, that my Jesus I may marry, that my Jesus I may marry.
Then Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a cloth of purest linen and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn from out of the solid rock. And when he had rolled the mighty stone to the door of the tomb, he went away. There were also in that place Mary Magdalena and the other Mary, sitting over against Jesus' grave. Now on the morrow, which followed up the day of preparation, straightway there came the priests and the Pharisees together unto Pilate, and said,